For many years now, the Royal Rumble has been the second most popular pay-per-view that the WWE has in its pay-per-view lineup. And to me, it's easily my second favorite WWE pay-per-view of the year. And it has its own unique feeling to it. You know what I mean? Where WrestleMania is the granddaddy of them all. It's the big show. It's their Super Bowl in the WWE. The Super Bowl is sports entertainment. You could still make an argument that even though it's WrestleMania and even it'll be in a big arena with 60, 70, 80 plus thousand people, it still feels like a ramped up version of a regular pay per view. You get what I mean? Whereas the Royal Rumble is something different. It's a unique concept to the WWE. You get one Royal Rumble match every year, just one. And that always, to me, amps up my excitement and anticipation for the event. Who's going to win the Royal Rumble? Who's going to go on to get a title shot at WrestleMania? But another thing that has become a neat kind of feature of the Royal Rumble in recent years in particular are the surprise entrants. The ones from the past, the names from the past that make a surprise appearance and in some cases actually steal the show. They get the biggest pops of the night. It allows you to, reminisce for a few minutes. Go down that fork in the road to the right, down nostalgia lane. And I thought, hey, what the heck? I love the surprises that the Royal Rumble brings. And I wanted to share with you 5 surprise entrants I'd love to see for this year's Royal Rumble. The first one is Eugene. I know Tasteless Tony T and I talked about this for a couple of years. We wanted to see Eugene come back at a Royal Rumble. I love the Eugene character. I realize some of the wrestling purists didn't like it because they thought it was kind of hokey and it was stupid. But what a great babyface he was. And he was a fun character to me. I like Nick Dinsmore, and I think he's a good performer. And I think it would be kind of cool. You sit there, towards the beginning of the pay-per-view, or the Rumble match itself, excuse me, your first big surprise entrance, here's freaking Eugene. Somebody that you associate with fun. Somebody that you associate with some big storylines from back in 2004 and 2005. Yeah. Hell yeah, I'd love to see Eugene back. Excuse me. The second one was one of my favorites from that kind of transition out of the Attitude Era, and that's Hurricane Helms. It's been a few years since we've seen him in the WWE. I think the time is right. Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. Well, that'd be kind of cool. He'd get his own nice little pop, and he could still go in the ring, so he's not just somebody that you're bringing in for strictly the nostalgia pop that can't do anything. He could actually go out there and do a little bit and last a little bit in the Rumble, and people would accept that and believe that. And I think it would be kind of cool. Sit there, maybe you have a Kane in the Royal Rumble, and Hurricane Helms tries to choke slam him. Some old school shit. I'd love that. The next name on the list, even though we just saw him this past week on the old school Raw, I think it would be tremendous to see Jake the Snake Roberts at least get one last in-ring appearance in the WWE, if not a small last run. But I'll take a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble. I'd be surprised, actually, if the WWE didn't have him appear in the Royal Rumble. But could you imagine in the Royal Rumble, all of a sudden, here comes Jake the Snake Roberts. That crowd in Pittsburgh on January 26th would blow the roof off the joint. They're not like the idiots apparently in Baltimore. I was ashamed. I couldn't believe that. I would have expected so much more out of the Baltimore crowd. But I guarantee that Pittsburgh crowd would have a full appreciation for Jake the Snake Roberts. And it would be one of those real iconic kind of memorable moments that you get out of every single Royal Rumble match. The next one. Now this one's a little bit out there in left field, but I would never rule it out. And I think it would be a good way to mend fences, to make things right, do what I feel is right for everybody involved, and serve as kind of like a welcome back and a pathway to his induction into the WWE Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 30. You just picture it. Somewhere along in the mid-20s, you got a bunch of big-name stars for today. Big-name stars, term used somewhat loosely. And all of a sudden, you hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And all of a sudden, here comes a mid-50s fucking Ultimate Warrior running down the ramp at 300 miles a fucking hour. How awesome would that be? It would truly be awesome. I don't give a shit. I know some of the younger crowd would be like, oh, God, yeah, we know who the Warrior is, but we don't really like him. No, for somebody like me, I grew up on the Warrior. And, for all the things that people can say bad about the Ultimate Warrior, and many of them are true, maybe. Yeah, that's fine. But he was still one of my favorites as a kid. And I'll never turn my back fully on the Ultimate Warrior because I knew in his time, in that context of that period, in the late 80s in particular, he was as hot and for a period of time actually hotter than Hulk Hogan. There was a period of time where you had more Warrior fans than you did Hogan fans. And that is the God's honest truth, no matter what type of propaganda the WWE or Hulk Hogan or anybody else involved wants to tell you. They're full of shit. Warrior at one point in time for about an 18-month stretch was the hottest commodity in the WWF, no question about it. And for old school fans like me, it would be a chance to relive our childhood in some ways. To be able to see the Ultimate Warrior come on. And he's not having to go out there and do any real technical masterpieces or anything. All you're talking about is going out there, running around, make his big entrance, go a couple minutes in the Rumble match, and then run exit stage left and see you at the Hall of Fame. It would fucking be awesome. I don't care. The younger crowd might not like it. It doesn't have to be for you. Let us older fans that grew up on Warrior and loved Warrior and feel sometimes, frankly, that he gets a bit of a bad rap and has over the years, and he gets diminished for what he did accomplish in his career, let us have our moment. But there's one last surprise entrant. And, this kind of goes into the whole thing of, hey, he's another old guy, and this, and this. And again, there are a lot of things that could be said about this guy that are true. And you could talk about the fact of, well, here's the thing. He goes down to TNA for several years, and, nobody cares, and everybody makes fun of him, but he comes back to WWE, and all of a sudden, people give a shit. I get that train of thought, the things like the Booker T's and the Kevin Nash's, what have you. But there is something different to them being in the WWE compared to a TNA. Let's be realistic here. And there's always a nice nostalgia thing when these guys make an appearance or make a comeback at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's done differently. It's presented differently. It feels differently. But even for me, even at times when I've said that this guy can't apply his own finishing submission maneuver anymore, and he wrestles in a t-shirt and all of these other things, the one thing I will never do is diminish any of Sting's many, numerous great accomplishments during his career as a professional wrestler. And one of the things I've always wanted to see in my 28 plus now, going on my 29th year of watching professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is I've wanted to see Sting get one run in the WWE. Just one run. I want to see, even at the age of 54, 55, whatever the hell he is, I want to see what the Titan Tower machine could do with Sting for a 1-year run. I want to see how Sting would get over with the WWE audience of today. I want to see how Sting would do working with different wrestlers, guys in a lot of cases, in most cases, he's never worked with before. I think about if you had 2 or 3 programs to throw out there. A guy like a CM Punk would be a tremendous feud or program for him. Bray Wyatt would be tremendous, especially if it was old fucking Crow Sting. Oh, hell yeah. But there's always that one match that I want to see Sting have at WrestleMania still, and that is The Undertaker. And I doubt we're ever going to get it. But just seeing Sting come down that ramp, his music playing, come down that ramp at the Royal Rumble, I think even if you threw in a Eugene and a Hurricane Helms and a Jake the Snake Roberts and the Ultimate Warrior, these guys would get big pops. And in the case of Jake the Snake Roberts and in particular the Ultimate Warrior, they would get huge, tremendous pops. The most impactful moment and the most memorable moment for me and many others would be with all the years that Sting has never worked for Vince. He's never worked in the WWF. He never worked in the WWE. You imagine now the one guy that never came over after WCW was bought out. The one guy that's never come, that really matters, is Sting. There would be so much history there. There would be so many stories to be told just by him making that one appearance for that one moment, for that one match at the 2014 Royal Rumble, January 26, 2014 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No question about it. I realize I'm living a pipe dream, and I realize it's not going to happen. Let me dream, though. But these were, if I could have 5 guys, 5 surprise entrants for this year's Royal Rumble, this is who I would want to see the most. These are the 5 guys that would make me mark out the most. I want to know who you would like to see as surprise entrants, your 5 surprise entrants for this year's Royal Rumble. Who would make you mark out the most and why? Let me know down below.